Hey, it's Mike Metcalf again with Lanark Equipment, and I'm here to talk to you today about stump grinders, among other things. We're talking about them today because it's that time of year. I've got the jacket on, it's starting to cool down, the leaves are falling, and people are doing more and more bush work. They're taking down trees, they're getting firewood ready, but the problem is once you've taken down the tree and you've got your firewood ready, you're left with a stump. So this is the solution to that problem. We're going to get into the different models, who they're for, stick around for the rest. All right, so I've got a couple different models here from Baumalight, a Canadian-made company, and they make a lot more than stump grinders, but this is what we're here to talk about today. And they certainly have a lot more models that will go from the smallest guy for a subcompact all the way through to large commercial logging type jobs. So we'll certainly cover a bit of a gambit here today, but we'll start with this little guy. So this is the 1P14 model. It was specifically designed for subcompact tractors like the Kubota BX. So it doesn't take a whole lot of power. It doesn't have a swing or anything like that, but it's a much simpler design, which is why it's able to run on a smaller horsepower tractor. Certainly not a very heavy unit. You just hook it up to your 3-point hitch, connect your PTO, and you're good to go. This will actually take an 8-inch stump down 5 inches below grade. Are you completely eliminating the stump? Well, for all intents and purposes, yes you are, because you're going to be able to seed on top or mulch and cut the grass, whatever it is you need to do moving forward, as though that tree and stump were never there. So certainly if you've got a smaller acreage property, estate, small farm, and you just got a little tractor, this is absolutely going to get the job done for you. And what's nice about having a unit like this is that, you know, if you're on a property for 25 or 30 years, those little stumps are going to happen here and there. You're going to need to take down that tree, or the weather's going to have taken it down for you, and you're going to want to eliminate that stump so you can still enjoy that property. This is going to be that guy. And like I said, it is a very small unit. It does cover the subcompact market, but this would still fit on a B series tractor. Like when you're actually getting up into the compacts, especially if you're just dealing with smaller stumps, you don't need a big unit. This will cover quite a large swath. The key with running a stump grinder like this is that you always want to work directionally. You don't necessarily want to bite right into the center of the stump, but in the direction that the teeth turn, that is the direction that you want to work that stump. So how this works is you just lift up your 3-point hitch, back over the stump and lower it, and then as you slowly drive forward, it's going to chip that away into nice little pieces, which you can use as mulch or just leave it there to let it rot away, whatever you want to do, or rake it up after. Another thing that I want to point out on this particular unit, it does have a bit of a kick away. So if you get into something that kicks it out or bites in too hard, there's actually a pivot right here behind the hitch to allow that rotor to get up and out of the way. If it, you know, hits a rock or something like that and it needs to kick out, it will have that ability without being locked in, because if it's locked in, that's where you're going to cause damage and break some teeth. So having that breakaway is certainly going to give you a lot more life out of a unit like this, and it is on a greasable hinge, so it'll give you many, many years of worry-free operation, provided you actually grease it. And that's usually the conversation we have to have with customers, is making sure that things like that do get greased. If something is squeaking, it should have already been greased. So always, you know, over grease when necessary, because you're better to have it covered in grease and dirty than squeaky and dry, because again, that's how you're going to wear things out. So that's the 1P14. On my left here, on your right, we've got the 1P24. So again, this is still designed for a compact market. So whether you're looking at an LX tractor, an LO2 series, or even into the smaller Grand L series, this could be all of the stump grinder you need. Rather than a 14-inch diameter rotor, this has got a 24-inch diameter. So again, you're going to be getting into those 14 and 18-inch stumps without any issue, and still being able to get that 5 inches below grade, so that when you're all finished up, you can still cut right over top of it, or have your garden bed there, or whatever the case may be for your property. It does have a slightly different style of tooth, and that is because of the fact you're going to be putting more power into it and getting into some bigger stumps than you would be on the 1P14. So you do want to have that heavier rotor and a bit of a heavier carbide tooth to handle those bigger projects. It does still have a kick-away hinge system on it. It is pinnable as well, so you can actually lock it in and keep it rigid if that's what you're working in, or again, you can allow it to have that bit of a kick out on there depending on what it is you're getting into. This particular model even comes with a 6-pack of replacement teeth. And what's nice is it's mounted right up on top here. So when you're out there grinding and you lose a tooth, break a tooth, whatever the case may be, you've got some extras right there. You bolt it back on and you're off to the races again. You can even get these handy little stands too done up. You want to mount it on a stand rather than having it just sitting on the ground. But either way, they do have a parking stand on both. So when you're taking it off your tractor, you can easily get it at a nice height for your 3-point hitch. You're not trying to lift the unit up to your 3-point hitch. You can adjust that stand based on the tractor that it's going on or off of to make sure that hookup and dismounting of the unit is significantly easier for you. Now, another thing I want to talk about here is on the PTO shaft. So if you can see these little springs here, that tells you that this particular PTO is a slip clutch PTO. So what that means is if you get into something that is just too heavy and hairy for this thing to bite through, rather than anything getting broken like your gearbox or something like that, these two plates will actually slip on each other so that you've got an opportunity to stop the PTO, have a look at what's going on, and readjust without, again, damaging your gearbox, because that's really the heart of this thing, is the gearbox. If the gearbox goes, you're in trouble. If the slip clutch slips, no big deal. You just carry on and keep getting the job done. And again, another little thing I always like to point out, it's trivial to some people, but for me, I lose everything, so it's worth mentioning, is on both of the units, right on the side, you do have the owner's manual tube. It's watertight, it's right there on the unit. If something happens and you don't know what to do about it, you've got that reference material right there. You don't have to go hunting and pecking for it. You just have it right on the unit. So it's always there, you never lose it, and it never gets soggy on you. So I know this was a bit of a quick one here today. There's not a whole lot you can say about stump grinders. They are pretty well one thing. That's all they do is grind stumps, and because of that, they do it quite well. This is just a small sample of what Baumalight can offer. If you've got a bigger machine or even a skid steer, we can get you a grinder for that. Just give us a call and let us know, and we can find the right unit for you. Again, they are Canadian made, so they're worth having a look at. So again, any questions you have on something like this, give us a call at 613-264-0485, or better yet, come on down and see us. We're at 6253 Highway 43 in Perth, right between Perth and Smiths Falls. If you like this video, or you'd like to see more, or even if you had a suggestion on something else I can make a video of, please leave a comment down below, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.